What's up everybody? Welcome to part 3 of making a scale diorama by shopping my stash. Today's is the last part in this series, so if you missed the other two, I will link them below and at the end of this video. In part 2, I created a bunch of miniatures using popsicle sticks, clay, and paint. In today's video, I'm finalizing everything and getting this diorama completed. Warning, I am not a pro at this at all. This thing turns out pretty janky, but I had fun and I hope you enjoy watching the process. I grabbed my brown craft acrylic and I gave a generous coat to the entire clay tree base. Once that was dry, I used a tan craft acrylic and I dry brushed that over the whole trunk. That way it would give sort of a weathered bark look. The straw tree was dry and ready for paint as well, so I used the same two craft acrylics in brown and tan to coat this tree. For the weathering on this one though, I just didn't have as much variety in the surface texture as I did with the clay tree. I ended up doing the tan as a wet-on-wet blending technique into the brown paint. That created a really nice look of highlight and shadow. I just made sure not to overblend, creating just one brown color. I used the same tan craft acrylic to give a base layer of paint to my duck dude. And I was honestly shocked that this thing didn't fall apart in my hands while I was painting it. But stick around to see just how much work I need in learning how to create a realistic face. As much as I wanted to use that wooden base that I created, my measurements proved to be more on scale than I thought, and nothing was going to fit on that tiny little piece of wood. So I grabbed an old cardboard box and I quickly decoupaged over the entire surface. I used a 1-to-1 mix of Mod Podge to water, an artist brush to apply it, and some old packing material to cover it. Once I had the entire thing coated, I left it to dry overnight. I grabbed the hot glue and my small wood pieces to create a nice firewood pile in the fire pit. You can see in my glow-in-the-dark Halloween manicure just how long ago I actually finished all of this. I've been pretty busy over on my other channel, Copper Cactus DIY, and if you enjoy furniture refinishing, you might want to follow me over there. I'll link to my channel below in the description and at the end of this video. And while I had the hot glue out, I took care of the branches on my clay tree as well. This one didn't turn out exactly as I hoped, but it did kind of have a gothic vibe that felt a little spooky. In the end, I was happy with the final results. I mean, as happy as I could be for having absolutely no idea what I was doing. I mean, I still don't, but it sure was fun to give it all a try. Once everything was securely in place, I also painted the glue so I could blend it into the tree. And I did do some weathering on that too, but I just didn't film that. This wasn't actually the final tent that I ended up making. I had to scrap this one and start over from scratch, but I didn't end up filming that process. So I figured I'd at least include some footage of having made a tent, that way you're not, like, wondering what happened when you see the beauty shots. And now we get to the scary stuff. I have to create a face. And peeps, I'm telling you, shield the eyes of those who can't handle this because it goes downhill real quick. Actually, not this part. I think I did pretty good with lining up the clothes where they'd naturally fall. It's this part where I'm just gonna stop talking and let you enjoy the insanity as it unfolds. And it finally came time to attach all this stuff to the base, and by this point I was pretty much questioning all of my life decisions, so I just used a big blob of air dry clay and I plopped the straw tree right into the middle of it. I didn't wet the dry tree or anything, nope, because I like to live right on the edge. After everything dried, it ended up working out just fine. And I decided since my clay dude had turned out so flat, it needed something other than just the dock to sit on. So I cut up a bunch of popsicle sticks, and I pulled out the hot glue gun again to assemble a rough Adirondack style chair. Then I mixed up a custom color from a few different shades of brown craft acrylic, and I painted the whole chair with that color. I ended up doing 2 full coats, so the hot glue got coated too. I mixed up a custom green color from a few other craft acrylics, and I used that to coat the entire surface of the base. For the final flourish, I used a mix of artist brushes and a slightly damp sea sponge to add some fall color to the ground. I did about 3 total layers, overlapping the colors to get a nice fall feel. After that was complete, all I had left to do was to add all of these janky little elements to the base. Then do a few touch-ups, and this diorama that I created strictly by shopping my stash was finally finished.